Welcome back to another episode of Backstage Safari. I'm Matt Gebhardt.
And I'm Jacob Oline with 6 News. We're here at the Cameron Park Zoo with Paige, the reptile and amphibians keeper here at the Galapagos tortoise exhibit. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're about to see?
Yeah, so we have 3 of our Galapagos tortoises. They're the largest tortoise in the world. They're also endangered, so we'll kind of walk you around, introduce you to them, and then show you what they eat, which is one of their favorite activities of the day. So
Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
Let's go.
Cool.
All right, so who is this?
This is Gilligan. He's our youngest Galapagos tortoise. He's only 37 years old, which is pretty young for them because they can grow to be about 150 to 200 years old. So, yeah, not even at his midway point yet.
And the big one behind him?
The big one behind him is Skipper. He is one of our older tortoises. He's actually an Aldabra tortoise, which is a different species than Gilligan. My apologies. And he's around 80 years old. Take a few more steps.
What's the oldest tortoise y'all have had here, do you know?
That we've had, well, Skipper and Professor are 2 oldest, around 80 years old. And they've been with us since the zoo's open, so.
Wow.
Yeah. Come on. And they only move about like 16th mile an hour. I think the fastest I've ever seen them move is when there's food, so they're pretty slow animals. Good. All right, now that they're out, we can get their food bowls put together. So, they'll each get a bowl. They usually end up sharing it first because they're too impatient to wait for all the rest of the bowls to be put out. Here you go, buddy.
Are these guys related at all?
They're not related, no. They're all from different mothers. They fight like siblings, though.
I was about to ask, is there a hierarchy to them?
During the summer, when they're out in their yard, not so much. In the winter, when they're in their barn, they can be a little, what's the word? I guess picky about sharing their space. They're usually pretty friendly. Professor is who we like to call our bully, mainly around the food bowl if he feels like someone's taken a bite that he wants to eat. But they're all good together.
What are their personalities like?
So Skipper right here with the little crick in his neck, I think he's a sweetie. I don't think he can do wrong whatsoever. Gilligan, I would say he's a bit of a goofball. A little bit mischievous, and then yeah, Professor can be a little bit of a bully, but he tends to keep to himself for the most part, unless there's food involved.
What does their diet mainly consist of?
So they have a pretty varied diet. They'll be fed around 4 times a week, so one of their meals will be a little over a pound of tortoise pellets each, which is basically just like minerals, vitamins, plant matter all condensed into a pellet, kind of like dog or cat kibble. And then we'll soften that for them, and that gives them their base nutrients that they might not get from market produce like this. And then they'll also get a few pounds of like turnip greens and mustard greens, which is this. And then they'll also get a hefty amount of romaine, veggies, squash, stuff like that throughout the week. Yep. And then if they're getting a treat, they'll get some strawberries or hibiscus. Yeah. Get their other food bowl.
When they're not eating, what do they typically do around the pen here?
Sleep. They really like their mud pit, which has been made nice and wet for them with all of the rain that we've been getting in Waco. They'll also sleep inside their pool over there. It's one of their favorite places to hang out. But they're, considering their size, they're natural foragers, so they pretty much just eat all day long, and then they eat high quantities of low quality food, so they don't have a lot of energy, so they end up usually just spending the rest of the day sleeping or bathing in the sun. So they're living the turtle life, basically.
You said during the winter that they spend more time inside.
They do. If it's below 50 degrees, it's not the warmest temperature for them, since they are from the Galapagos Islands, so they'll spend time in their heated barn. And then if the weather ever does raise above that, we open it out and let them come out to have access, but that's definitely where they prefer to be. And if it ever does get cold enough, they'll put themselves away and go into the warmers, the heat.
They seem to attract a lot of attention. Are they a favorite here at the zoo?
Yeah, people know their names. If they don't see one of them out, they'll ask by name where the other one is, and usually in the barn, just out of the sun. But yeah, they're definitely crowd favorites. Kids are always super excited and impressed. Their first question is, whoa, are those real? Because of how big they are.
How do you maintain healthcare for tortoises like this?
So for these tortoises, kind of just like us, they don't really see the vet unless we feel like there's a true problem or like they're sick. I'm in here with them every day for about 30 minutes to an hour, so I can usually observe their behavior, know their personalities. If there's anything that we feel like is wrong or off, they'll get a checkup with our vet, and then our animals also get annual exams with our vet staff. So once a year, they'll get a full checkup just to make sure everything is nice and good. Yeah.
What's something about them that most zoo visitors don't know?
Don't know? Something that I think is pretty cool is that they actually made it to the Galapagos Islands from South America about 2 million years ago by floating. So they just, I kind of have a funny picture in my head of them just splayed out in the water, drifting along the currents till they reach the Galapagos Islands, which I think is pretty cool. So they might not be the best swimmers, but they can definitely float despite their size, which I think is pretty cool. And then the Galapagos Island is actually named after them. It's not the other way around, which is pretty cool.
So do you have to have a lot of patience working with them?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I think, and that's good because, it's always a good virtue to work on. So it definitely takes patience, especially if they're in their pool and I need to clean it, trying to get them out. You can't make a 500-pound animal do something it doesn't want to do. So a lot of patience for sure.
And how did these get to the zoo?
It depends. So Gilligan was born in captivity as part of a breeding program to help repopulate their species and be a part of education and conservation. And then they could also be a part of a breeding program from the Galapagos Islands as well. We also get turtles that come in through pet trade if they're confiscated because people are, illegally trafficking them. We'll take them in here as well.
What sort of risks do they face in nature?
I'd say we have 2 big P's, people and predators. And then in addition to that, invasive species. So one of the largest reasons they're extinct right now is because they were being poached for meat, which caused a drastic decline for their population. And then also we have predators and invasive species in the wild. And at this size, they might not have a natural predator, but when they're younger, you have animals that are eating the eggs and the hatchlings because hatchlings are only about the size of an orange. So perfect snack size for a lot of predators. And then habitat degradation with people destroying their natural home.
What can people at home do to help?
It's a really great question. I think a large part of it is just coming to the zoo, interacting with them, meeting them, getting to see them. I think that's a really big part of conservation, and the zoo's mission is to have those personal encounters with them because once you know them and you see them, you start to care. You have a different perspective about them than you did before. They're not so foreign. And then you have to understand them and know them to protect them. So I think just coming to the zoo, seeing firsthand how amazing these creatures are, and then you can take initiative by donating to conservation alliances, by participating in research or just conservation advocacy and speaking out for them publicly is a large part of it as well.
Will these tortoises here stay at the zoo their whole lives, or are there any
Yes.
plans to release these to the wild?
No, these turtles will stay with us at the zoo and be part of our conservation and education outreach and mission. I know there are programs on the Galapagos Islands where they'll have captive bred tortoises. They'll be raised in captivity until they're about 5 years old, and then they'll have a release back into the wild to help repopulate. So that's something they're doing over there. But here, we'll keep them in captivity, and they'll be a part of our outreach programs.
I am noticing we're pushing each other.
Yep.
Getting to the bottom of the bowl.
So that's what turtle fighting looks like. It's not super exciting. It's very slow, but yes. A lot of hissing and neck raising.
Well, is there anything else you think people at home should know about these 3?
I think that they're beautiful animals, and it's really impressive how big they are, but it takes time for them to grow to this size. And for them to have that time, we need to be a voice for them. We need to protect them and just be a part of conservation. And so I think understand nature and respect it. That way you can care for it. We're part of that generation that's going to be making a change for our environment. So, yeah.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
You're welcome, of course.
Thank you guys.
Like, I'm just happy for the attention.
This one has the little divots out of its shell, it looks like, and that one almost kind of
Yeah.
neck almost looks a little bit crooked. Were they hurt when they came here? Do you know?
So we get a lot of questions about those. Gilligan, we're not 100% sure about. We think that maybe he was stepped on when he was a younger hatchling and had a damage to his carapace, but it doesn't bother him too much. Their shells are made out of the same stuff as our nails. It's keratin. And so it really doesn't affect him. Skipper has a bit of a crook in his neck. We think he was born that way. Doesn't bother him. He functions. It might take him a little while longer to get where he's going, but yeah, doesn't bother either of them too much.
Very cool. Thank you again.
Yeah, of course.